Sometimes the best love stories begin with a simple need for help. Witness the unexpected romance that blossoms between a busy single father and the nanny who becomes more than just childcare. Subscribe now and let's get started.
The Seoul skyline shimmered under the late afternoon sun as Kim Sung-jo sat behind his massive glass desk, eyes fixed on his laptop screen. Yet, despite the towering success of his tech company, his heart felt hollow. The relentless pace of board meetings, deadlines, and investor calls left him drained, but his greatest challenge waited for him at home: two young children who missed their father more than he dared admit. The quiet apartment was filled with scattered toys and unfinished homework sprawled across the dining table. Sung-jo's eldest daughter, Min-seo, was struggling with her math homework, and his son, Jin-ho, was restless, tugging at his sleeve with wide, hopeful eyes. "Appa, can you play with me?" Jin-ho's voice was soft, almost pleading. Sung-jo looked down at the small hand gripping his shirt, heart clenched. He wanted nothing more than to drop everything and be the father they deserved, but the weight of responsibility pressed hard on his shoulders. The loneliness was suffocating. Since his wife's sudden passing 2 years ago, the silence in the house grew heavier by the day. The nights were the worst, endless hours spent rocking a crying baby or comforting nightmares all alone. His parents lived far away in Busan, and his close friends were caught up in their own lives. The walls echoed with the void left behind. But then, on a chilly spring morning, Pamela Andrews arrived. The moment she stepped into his life, everything shifted. Pamela, a tall, graceful African woman of deep faith, carried an aura of calm strength and warmth. Her gentle smile seemed to light up the entire room, and her eyes sparkled with kindness and understanding. She greeted the children with soft laughter and a motherly tenderness that made Min-seo and Jin-ho instantly trust her. Sung-jo watched quietly as Pamela expertly settled into the chaos, calming tantrums, preparing meals, organizing schedules, as if she had been a part of their family forever. For the first time in years, there was a sense of peace amid the storm. But the connection between Sung-jo and Pamela was more than just relief. One afternoon, while the children napped, Sung-jo found himself seated across from Pamela at the kitchen table, their conversation flowing effortlessly. "I know what it means to love fiercely," Pamela said quietly. "To lose, yet still hold on. Faith carried me through my darkest days." Sung-jo's heart ached, a mirror of his own pain reflected in her words. There was an unspoken understanding between them, a shared burden of loss, hope, and the fierce responsibility of caring for others. Yet beneath that fragile connection was a silent battle. Sung-jo was torn between the cautious respect for their professional roles and the undeniable pull of his growing feelings. Every glance lingered a second too long, every casual touch sparked electricity. But he feared the judgment, the rumors, the possibility of shaking the delicate foundation he was desperately trying to rebuild for his children. Pamela, too, wrestled with her own fears. She had come to Seoul to work, to provide for her family back home, and she vowed never to cross boundaries, yet her heart betrayed her resolve with every smile Sung-jo gave her. As twilight descended, casting long shadows across the room, Sung-jo realized this was no longer just about work or duty. It was about love. The air in the spacious living room was thick with unspoken tension. Sung-jo sat rigidly on the leather couch, his fingers nervously drumming against the armrest. Across from him, Pamela gently folded the children's laundry, her hands steady despite the electricity humming between them. Sung-jo's gaze flickered to her, the way her brow furrowed slightly as she concentrated, the soft curve of her smile as she hummed a hymn under her breath. How was it possible that in just a few weeks, this woman had become the axis around which his entire world seemed to turn? That evening, as the children slept, Pamela stayed behind in the kitchen cleaning the dinner dishes. Sung-jo approached quietly, his voice low and tentative. "Pamela," he began, swallowing the lump in his throat. I want to thank you. Not just for helping with the children, but for everything. For making this house feel like a home again. She looked up, her dark eyes warm and full of something he couldn't quite name. Sungjo, you are a good father. You carry so much on your shoulders. But even the strongest men need support. He nodded, heart pounding as she stepped closer, the scent of jasmine from her scarf enveloping him. For a moment, time slowed. The space between them shrank, but Sungjo's mind screamed caution. What we have, he whispered, it's complicated. The children. My work. Society's eyes. Pamela's voice was steady, but filled with quiet conviction. Love does not come in perfect timing, Sungjo. It comes in moments, unexpected, messy, but real. We must be brave enough to accept it. But bravery came with a price. The next day, Sungjo found himself dodging a flurry of judgmental glances from colleagues when Pamela dropped off Mincio at school. Whispers and sideways stares reminded him painfully of how different their worlds were and how fragile this new hope was. At home, his children had already begun to cling to Pamela as if she were a second mother. Mincio's laughter echoed through the hallways when Pamela helped her with homework, and Jinho's shy smiles melted Sungjo's defenses. The children's acceptance was both a balm and a test. Could he let this woman into his heart without risking their happiness? One late night, exhausted from a grueling board meeting, Sungjo returned home to find Pamela waiting, sitting quietly in the living room. She looked up as he entered, her expression unreadable. Sungjo, I know this is difficult, but your children need you to be whole. And sometimes, to be whole, we must let others in. He sank beside her, the weight of loneliness pressing down harder than ever. How do I balance this? My career demands everything. My children need all of me. And yet, my heart pulls me toward you. Pamela reached out, her hand resting gently on his. Love is not about perfection. It is about presence. Be present for them and for yourself. That night, Sungjo lay awake, wrestling with the possibility of a future he had never dared imagine. Could love, in the midst of chaos, truly heal his broken family? The morning light filtered softly through the curtains, casting a gentle glow over the breakfast table. The house was alive with the sounds of Mincio's cheerful chatter and Jinho's infectious laughter. For the first time in months, Sungjo allowed himself a rare smile as Pamela expertly served the children their favorite dishes. But beneath the warmth, an undercurrent of tension pulsed silently. Sungjo's phone buzzed relentlessly, urgent emails, calls from investors, demands for his attention. The relentless tide of his career threatened to pull him away from this fragile new happiness. Yet every time he glanced at Pamela's calm presence, every time he saw the way the children leaned into her, he was reminded of what truly mattered. Later that afternoon, Sungjo sat alone in his home office, staring at the mountain of paperwork. The weight of expectations crushed him. A soft knock interrupted his thoughts. Sungjo. Pamela's voice was gentle. You're working too hard. The children need you, but so do you. He looked up, the exhaustion etched deep into his face. I'm scared, Pamela. Scared that if I slow down, everything I've built will crumble. And scared that if I keep going, I'll lose them. Pamela crossed the room, her eyes unwavering. Balance isn't found, Sungjo. It's created. Let me help you. Let us be a family. The next weeks were a dance of discovery. Sungjo began leaving work earlier, carving out precious moments for story time and park visits. Pamela's laughter blended with the children's as they built sandcastles and painted rainbows on rainy days. She taught Mincio to bake her favorite cookies, and Jinho learned to tie his shoes with her patient guidance. Yet, outside their sanctuary, whispers of gossip and disapproval lingered. Some questioned Pamela's place in their lives, her foreign roots, her faith. The pressure mounted, and Sungjo found himself at a crossroads, protect his family's peace or confront the narrow expectations of society. One evening, after tucking the children into bed, Sungjo and Pamela stood on the balcony, city lights twinkling beneath them. "I never thought I'd find this," Sungjo admitted, voice thick with emotion. "A partner. A mother for my children. Someone who makes me want to be better." Pamela reached for his hand, their fingers entwining naturally. Love isn't about fitting into a mold. It's about creating a new one together. But just as hope blossomed, a call from Sungjo's sister pierced the fragile bubble. "There are rumors, Joe. People are talking about Pamela. About you." The sting of judgment cut deep, threatening to unravel all they had built. That night, Pamela sat quietly by the window, eyes fixed on the moon. "Sungjo, no matter what happens, I am here. For you, for the children, for this family we are building." He wrapped his arms around her, feeling the strength of her promise. In the chaos of life, love was their anchor. And together, they would face whatever storms lay ahead. The weekend brought a rare chance for Sungjo to slow down, and the house hummed with a lightness it hadn't known in a long time. Pamela's gentle laughter filled the kitchen as she taught Mincio and Jinho how to knead dough for homemade bread. Flour dusted their hands and faces, and even Sungjo couldn't help but join in, his usual stoic mask softening with every smile. "Appa, look!" Mincio exclaimed, holding up a misshapen loaf. "We made this together." Sungjo crouched down, his eyes warm. "It's perfect, just like us." Later, as the children played in the living room, Pamela and Sungjo sat close on the couch, sharing a quiet moment. Sungjo's hand found hers, fingers intertwining naturally, the connection electric yet comforting. "You've given this family something I thought I lost forever," Sungjo whispered. "Hope." Pamela's eyes glistened. "And you've given me a home." That evening, after the children had gone to bed, Sungjo surprised Pamela with a simple dinner set by the window overlooking the city lights. Soft music played in the background as they talked for hours about dreams, fears, and the delicate dance of building a life together. "I was afraid," Sungjo admitted, "afraid that opening my heart again would break me." Pamela reached across the table, her touch reassuring. "Love isn't a risk, it's a gift. And I promise to cherish it." Days turned into weeks, and the children's bond with Pamela deepened. Jinho began calling her Uni with a shy smile, and Mincio confided in her about school and friendships. Pamela listened with unwavering patience, her presence a steady source of comfort. Sungjo often caught quiet, tender glances between Pamela and the children, moments that made his chest ache with gratitude and love. One afternoon, as Sungjo returned home early, he found Pamela and the children tangled in a blanket fort, giggling uncontrollably. He paused, watching the scene, laughter and warmth filling every corner. Pamela caught his eye and smiled. "This family, it's growing in ways I never imagined." Sungjo stepped inside, wrapping his arms around them all. Together, he said softly, "We're unstoppable." That night, as the family lay close, Sungjo held Pamela's hand in the dark, whispering promises of forever. In the chaos of their lives, love had blossomed, fierce, tender, and unbreakable. The morning sun spilled gently through the bedroom window as Sungjo woke to a quiet house. For the first time in months, he didn't feel the usual pull of urgent emails or endless meetings. Instead, a soft presence beside him caught his attention, Pamela, already awake, watching him with a smile that made his heart skip. "Good morning, sleepyhead," she whispered, brushing a stray lock of hair from his forehead. Sungjo reached out, his fingers tracing the delicate curve of her cheek. "Good morning, my blessing." Later that day, as they sat in the garden with the children, Pamela surprised Sungjo by pulling out a small, worn photo album. Together, they pored over pictures of the children's first steps, birthdays, and school plays. "You've captured every moment, Pamela," Sungjo said softly, touched. "Thank you for holding our memories." She smiled, squeezing his hand. "We're making a lifetime of memories together." Days later, Sungjo found a note on his pillow. "Meet me on the rooftop tonight." His heart raced with anticipation. Under a blanket of stars, Pamela waited with a picnic spread and a small bouquet of wildflowers. "I wanted to remind you," she said softly, "that love grows strongest in the little things, shared laughter, quiet moments, and being present." Sungjo pulled her close, their hearts beating in perfect rhythm. "With you, I've found my home." The children's laughter echoed as they danced in the living room, the family bound not just by blood, but by the deepening love between Sungjo and Pamela, a love that promised forever. The evening air was cool and still, wrapping the house in a serene hush. Sungjo sat on the porch swing, the soft creak beneath him blending with the distant sounds of the city. Pamela joined him quietly, settling close, her presence a soothing balm to his restless heart. For a moment, they simply watched the stars emerge, each twinkling light a silent witness to their journey. Then Sungjo took a deep breath, gathering the courage that had eluded him for so long. "Pamela," he began, voice steady but filled with vulnerability, "when I lost my wife, I thought I'd never feel whole again. I feared that love was a closed chapter in my life." He reached for her hand, fingers entwining with a tenderness that spoke volumes. "But you've healed parts of me I thought were broken beyond repair. You've given me not just love, but hope, family, and a future I dared not dream of." Pamela's eyes shimmered with tears, her faith and compassion reflected in every glance. "I love you, Sungjo, more than words can say." He smiled, a rare, radiant smile that lit up the darkness. "I love you too, Pamela. And I want to build this life with you, all of us together." The next days were filled with small celebrations, laughter at the dinner table, the children's joyful hugs, and quiet moments where their hands found each other without thought. One afternoon, as Mincio and Jinho showed Pamela handmade cards that read, "Thank you for being our family," Sungjo watched with a heart swelling with gratitude. The house, once filled with chaos and loneliness, now brimmed with love and warmth. On a peaceful Sunday, Sungjo took Pamela's hand and led her to the rooftop garden, where fairy lights twinkled like stars brought close. "Kneeling wasn't something I imagined for myself again," he said softly, pulling a small box from his pocket. Inside lay a simple ring, a symbol not just of love, but of commitment to their blended family. "Pamela Andrews, will you marry me? Will you be the heart of this family forever?" Tears streamed down Pamela's cheeks as she nodded, the word yes escaping in a whisper that sealed their promise. Together, Sungjo and Pamela stepped into a future bright with hope, a modern family forged by love, resilience, and faith. Their story was a testament that even amidst chaos, love finds a way to heal, to grow, and to create something beautifully unbreakable. The end.